Let me see what I'm down with. Before my kids died, I finished watching all the episodes of Stone Ocean and Monk Potter except season 6 and 8 because I'm on the Netflix version and I do not plan to pay for a Crunchyroll. In the meantime, I found another absolutely cinematic masterpiece to binge. Mr. Beast, I mean Horror Zootopia AU. It should be pretty easy to get done before. I can't believe we're so close. I finally waited all those months. As I was saying, I'll introduce you the characters, which all of them will have an alias, because that is the particular running gag I like to do with my channel when I talk about certain characters. We got Max, Jackson, Nick being the son I adopted to my own mafia. I will start with him. Nick is a nonchalant loner, the literal definition of a Sigma. He always simps for Jax, but contradicts himself and feels guilty for all the intrusive thoughts he has to Jax, which is kind of relatable to all the intrusive thoughts I have. Jax is a loner just like Nick, who's always ready to fuck. Not for money because she isn't a pathetic drag, but because she is the exact opposite of a horrible person. The only thing she wants in life is purely others' validation alone. She does it with everybody for her own self-worth. She's basically me when I'm on Monkey App. Max is the most popular kid at school. He gets all the bitches, but something tells me that the bitches isn't what he truly desires. Maybe it's a fruity accent, or maybe he's just European. What gave it away? I don't know. Maybe all the times he started flirting with Nick before he can even look at Jax. This just reminded me of 2024, back when I was living in a dorm in Ohio. I actually did know of this show back then, but just because of its one song I headcanoned Zooble with. In fact, this was also nostalgic to a decade ago, none other than the year the legend itself, 2016, where everybody acted like characters, myself included, in some fantasy adventure and I was still a fetus. I don't know, man, this just reminds me of both 2024 and 2016. Good times, mate, simpler times. Warning, from here on out we'll include memes deriving from, but not limited to, multiple fandom references, yaoi smut, and the lion memes. Lots of lion memes. On some field trip, Jax gets kidnapped by a mafia who are somehow just chilling in broad daylight because they don't concern themselves with rising action and foreshadowing. Wait, did I just say doesn't concern themselves with? These people sound a lot like myself as a person, don't they? I bet they do the naughty to anything that speaks. Speaking of figurative language, before Max has a chance to speak, the boss of this mafia blackmails him into not telling the rest of his group about Jax's whereabouts. Nick immediately knows Jax is in danger. He asks Max about it. Yo, twin, have you seen the fine shit from our class I'm totally not a yandere hardcore simping for? I don't know, have you tried simping for femboys instead? Oh! Doesn't take long for Nick to find Jax in the most dark, dense, dangerous backstreet of Benjamin City and beats the shit out of the line, saves Jax from the unthinkable, not even a single motherfucking lick on her. Minutes later, Max shows up after the fight. Aw man, they killed the tallest member of the group without me. Oh wait, no, he's still alive. Kills the boss with a Glock 19. Did you just kill? Oh well, guess I'm about to die, but at least it's not gonna be in a gay way. Pause. Wait. Here's food for thought. Instead of killing him, this 5'3" twink, since he could be, of value to us, we should keep him. You're hired. Wait, what? The absolute irony. Man, you will be impressed. Alright, now we're ironically choosing you to be our boss, even though you just killed the last one about a few minutes ago. Here's the first test. This is a test, wouldn't you agree? The last two sentences I just said, and I knew there were going to be JoJo references. I didn't know they would parallel so much to the plot of Golden Wind, and the whole Passion situation is crazy. So what is the first test? Here's a plate of dead meat. Now cannibalize it.
Escalators!
Eels.
Spoiler alert, he actually does it. And is almost I say, a little bitch about it. I'm not gonna lie, this rose interest in me. I heard before that human meat tastes like chicken. This made me want to try this silly little test, this Mr. Beast eat human meat for $5 million type challenge. I bet I can do it and be way less of a little bitch about it. The only thing stopping me is that I want to keep being a normal member of society. See, here's the thing, I've always been off my rocker, right? I just do a really good job of masking. I'm just really good at hiding how genuinely unhinged I actually am. Moving on to the next episode. The description is what gets maybe an eyebrow or two. It starts off wholesome. There's two new characters, a borderline yandere who simps for Nick. Alright, you're cool, I see you. And then there's this guy who rage baits everybody, especially Nick. Why, he's also so zesty, he makes Max look genuinely straight.
Wow, Nick, you got in another fight with an alpha, and I cried when I got my wisdom teeth out.
What's this guy's deal, by the way? One prior scene is Max pulling up to school. Alright guys, I'm out. It was great knowing you, no questions asked. And then mostly interactions between Nick's whole love triangle getting out of hand, and the new NPC who added a fun fact. Then it turns to the scene where Max is eating with his new friends, which, if you could guess, is not the typical dinner, let's just say. For his new friend group, yes, it definitely is. In real time, when I was watching this, it was a chill Saturday morning, about an hour or so before I was scheduled in for work. 1 second, I'm looking at a normal show where a femboy is casually eating a meal with 4 lions. The next second, somebody gets my attention for, I don't know, 5 seconds. I turn my head away for 5 freaking seconds to get their attention, get back to watching TS. And what I turned my attention back to was Max is now alone, gooning in an empty room.
What?
What did I miss between those very few seconds? I make the mistake, rewind 5 seconds. The lions make fun of him behind his back. He opens the door to a room behind the living room. The way he aesthetically walked into the empty room in a chill, graceful way, gooning, as I am air quoting, I will just say that, and going off an internal monologue.
あれ初めて見たとき、なんていうか、その下品なんですが、勃起しちゃいまして。
Wait, wrong picture. I did not mean to put that there. Trust me, guys. A few seconds ago, I wasn't thinking this. Within the time skip, I am 100% sure I'm now thinking the same thing as the lions probably. That was kinda hot. Why did this low-key turn me on? Never as a degenerate smut enjoyer of Fujoshi and one of these would I ever thought to be—
Well, this just got interesting.
I learned a lesson to never turn my head away from these kind of shows for even a split second. Anyways, the episode ends with the same Yandere who got rejected by Nick somehow going all the way to Block, finding Max, walking outside with him, and that's when she starts simping for Max. If I can't have the Sigma as a husbando, then I'll have to find someone just as Sigma. And that's the part I leave off on for the time being, and that is when I immediately found myself in Cloud 9 for the rest of the week. I finally did it. I finally found someone to distract myself from the voices I was living for the last 6 to 7 months. Somebody else to have thoughts about for a change. My grind set was evolving. Was I internally conflicted? Not exactly. I acknowledge this new guy would be the lesser of the two fiends to me from the beginning, and these two aren't even close, so it wouldn't be like a replacement for her as my fiend. I doubt a small fry who I knew only for several days could ever amount up to the status of a real demon who was living rent-free in my mind for 6 to 7 months, plus the fact that she used to be my favorite villain before I got out of my winter arc, so it'd be more like a side chick. I was just glad to finally have somebody else besides her to think about for fucking once. This instantly led me to comparing and contrasting Max and the Void from This Is Why We Don't Marry Psychopaths, and which one of them me as a person lean more to. And it did not take much, if any thought, me coldly calculating, to conclude that these characters are polar opposites in every way imaginable. If she was in the same situation, she wouldn't need to get used to being in a gang of lions. These lions would be the ones fighting for their lives and adapting to get used to her. She, in characteristics, is a natural predator. She wouldn't cringe to food on a plate because she canonically is as fat as a motherfucker, eats anything, even more than the guy who likes thinking about cows. We're talking about the same character from Beach Day motherfucking Chaos. Then is she the lion? Hell no, as my spirit animal displayed on screen speaking, we do not claim her. See, I can still respect Max a decent amount. He got used to the lions as quick as Pomni got used to the circus. He has more self-respect and relatability. How is this guy relatable? He despises anybody who shows weakness, and that is what earns a lion's cold and calculating respect. You are the lion. You do not concern yourself with weakness, as it is the greatest sin. More importantly, I was self-aware to reflect, does clowning on Max make me in any way like this Void? Would she react the same way I'd react? I just know it. But the billion-dollar question is, if I didn't swear to never use this word again, would I describe watching the door scene as a certain adverb that starts with THR and rhymes with killing? For week, in fact, a bit more than a week, I should say. I thought I could coexist, joyfully edging them both. When I find another character attachment, the first thing I do is observe the fan art. There was one comic that caught my eye in a way so peak, I actually downloaded it to keep it to this day. This picture was of Max and Nick entering a bar. Which of them is a JoJo reference? My son is wearing a Tequila Joseph dress, and I lost my mind over this comic, the way a fetus would lose her mind over 6'7", the legend known as Tequila Joseph, and Nick is the one sporting that fit? Does that make me Lisa then? This had to be fan-made, right? So there's no way this comic is actually canon. I wish I pried a little bit more. I somehow forgot how bad it could really get. Ever since then, I stopped gooning to Max because it was a distraction to the lives taken from me, and if I kept doing so, I would become more and more like the one who caused me to undo my 5 children. I did not have the heart anymore for anyone. Nothing would change the countless files that factory reset destroyed. It would serve as a reminder of their killer that would pass up no chance to jerk off to almost anything. That horny slut demon she is. 5 comics in heaven. If I forgot about them and edged even once to the show, it would be disrespecting their lives and their deaths. My whole reason to carry forth is to not forget what I created, to not appropriate my 5 kids. That is why I swear to never goon to Horror Zootopia AU ever again as long as I live, or until I get my kids back from the dead.
To be continued, to be continued, oh, oh, oh.